Well, welcome everyone to the Mongrel Motorsports YouTube channel. Today I wanted to discuss Ford steering boxes because I think there's a lack of knowledge out there about these things, and I've just recently educated myself and thought I would share what I've learned. Okay, so the first thing is that there is a common misconception that these steering boxes can just get the slack adjusted out of them by turning a screw. That's not the case at all, and it is completely wrong. Well, not completely wrong, but partially wrong with what the shop manual says. And one of the things that you need to know about adjusting these is there is a procedure that involves using a torque wrench and checking the preload on the steering column shaft at the steering wheel end. And this is all outlined in the shop manual in a few simple paragraphs here. If you can freeze frame that, it may help you, I don't know. But I've got some steering boxes here, and I'm going to go over a few things on it. So let's talk about this adjustment screw. There's a lock nut here that locks it in place, but you can see we have a stud, for lack of a better word, with a slot in it for a conventional screwdriver. And what the common lore is that you slacken the nut and then tighten that stud inward until the slop disappears or is minimized from the steering box. That's the theory, and that's what you'll see here and there about adjusting these steering boxes. That's not really correct. There's a two-step process in actually setting up one of these boxes correctly. As I said, with the shop manual shows you how to do that. And it involves checking the torque on the steering wheel shaft and so on. But this by itself is what everybody wants to just do, is get in there and crank away on that. And the problem is, if you tighten that down to the point where the slack is minimal or disappears completely, you run the chance of actually damaging the steering box, as in cracking the internal parts or getting your steering box to actually seize up. So this is not something that you want to do. This adjustment should be done in quarter turn increments if you're going to be doing it at all. Turn it a quarter turn, see what it's doing, and if it's not to your satisfaction, go another quarter turn. My opinion is that you should not go more than a half a turn ever on adjusting one of these boxes. Because if you need more than a half a turn of adjustment, you're most likely in need of a new steering box. Now, the steering boxes on these cars for the 60s Fords are pretty much all the same as appearance, but they're not interchangeable. And we'll get to that more here in a second. There is a tag on every steering box, or there should be, with codes on them. And I'll try to remember to link in the description below a link to a page that shows what all those steering boxes actually fit. And that way you can kind of figure out what interchanges with what. I'm dealing with third generation Falcons, and those are only shared with the Fairlanes of the same vintage. The Mustang box is not the same, and getting an idea of, well, I'll just buy a Mustang box and take the internal parts out and put them in my housing because then it'll fit my car. That doesn't work either. I've already dug into that and tried to figure out if it's possible, and it is not. The internal parts are actually different, and a lot of it has to do with the shaft length on the steering box to steering wheel shaft. So forget that idea if you had that delusion in your head, because it's not going to work. Okay, so these boxes wear. We know that. So what exactly goes wrong? Well, most of the wear is going to occur on this toothed shaft part. If I can get this thing to focus correctly, you're going to see that these teeth are actually tapered. Trying to get this to focus well for you guys. These teeth are actually tapered a bit, and the wear is going to occur mostly in the center. I'm sorry, it doesn't focus. Most of your wear is going to be here in the center. So you're going to see shiny bits most likely there if you take one of these apart, with the outsides not being as bad. When you are moving that adjustment stud in and out, it's going to put more force on the center area of these things, from my understanding, and that's going to cause more wear if you get it too tight. So it's very important that this is done properly. This one here, oh, there we go. This one here doesn't look too bad. Now you can see on this area here, it looks like there might be some wear. I don't think that's just grease there. Now you can see there's a little bit of wear there. Hopefully this one can be rebuilt with that existing part in there. This one, you can tell, had water sitting in it, and it's rusty. And you can also see the wear marks here in the upper part. And on extreme box wear, you're going to see that this is actually, kind of scalloped and worn. That is wear item number 1. All right, so I have a 1966 car, which means I am blessed with this wonderful arrangement, the spear into the chest steering column shaft. People make a big deal out of that being a safety concern. Is it? Yeah, it is, but we're driving old cars. We're being pretty careful when we're driving them. How much stuff in life are you going to worry about? So it's not ideal, but am I going to go to the trouble to change this to the short shaft type with a coupler in the middle? No, that's not worth it to me. All right, so on these, the wear area, again, is where that shaft teeth are going to ride, and it's going to be in this area here. And so you're going to see wear. You can see some discoloration here on this tooth. That is the main wear area of this particular part. And this other one was the more rusty one that had water sitting in it when I took it apart. You can see it's corroded up a bit. And that is a problem area as well. And if you tighten the stud down too far and get it too tight, you can actually break these teeth off. So not cool. Don't do that. The other problem with this particular arrangement of parts is you can see on this one just how rusty and pitted that shaft is at the bottom where it was sitting in water for who knows how long. This shaft probably is not usable to send to a rebuilder. Most likely that's going to be junk. This one appears to be pretty decent. If I can get a little bit better light on it, there we go. This one's not in bad shape. So I think that part is actually going to be okay. Now I do want to talk about lubrication in these boxes. It is another misconception that you want to put gear oil in these. Absolutely not. Completely and utterly wrong. These boxes are to be filled with grease, and the preferred grease is a moly grease. And you're most likely going to need an entire tube to fill this thing. If you haven't, this is assuming you haven't taken it apart. Just even if it's in the car to refill it, it's probably going to take a full tube, so plan on that. I wind up putting these in through the stud, or there's oftentimes oh, here we go. Either the stud can come out, or you can take off the little breather guy here. Sometimes they might be have a nut head on them, and just stick your grease gun in there and start pumping. And like I said, it's going to take a full tube. Again, gear oil, no, do not do that. Chances are it's just going to run out anyway. But if you have one of these and it's never run apart, you're going to find that the grease is probably all solidified and goopy looking and not really doing much. The steering box in my car, it started this whole escapade, would catch and not return after making a turn. And it was not an alignment problem. I thought maybe that was it, but after having an alignment performed, did not fix it. Caster was fine. So what I did was I figured, well, it can't hurt to grease it before I pull it out and throw it away. And I pumped it full of grease, and within a few miles, it actually started to free up, and it's been pretty good ever since. The only problem now is I'm finding out that it is very loose on center. It's worn. It's got 124,000 miles on it. And a lot of that was without grease. These boxes are not sealed from the outside environment, and when the car is a parts car, maybe stored outside, or you found it in a junkyard and it doesn't have a hood on it, water's been running down inside this thing from the shaft end the entire time the car's been sitting there, and this is probably going to be full of water. And that's why you're going to see corrosion on some of these parts. Can you rebuild these yourself at home? I am going to say no. I am also going to link in the description below a link to a page of a guy who rebuilds these. I started doing them for Mustangs, and he now does them for all kinds of Fords. And that's called Stanger's Site. And he has a very extensive, several pages on these steering boxes, what it takes to rebuild them, how to look at the parts to see if they're reusable, damage that can occur if you over tighten them, and all kinds of things there. He also has some excellent information on the power steering stuff. So I'm going to link that there, but if you read through that, you'll see that this isn't simply a matter of slapping some new bearings in, filling it with grease, setting it, one or two ways and sticking it back in the car. It is a pretty complex system of measuring, requiring some rather unusual tools, and I'm not too scared of doing a lot of things, but after reading through it, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to send the guy my steering box. So that's what's going to happen here. But, is it something that you can do if you're kind of a machinist guy and have access to a lot of decent measuring tools? Yeah, you probably could. But then you got to find the bearings and all that kind of stuff. You can see there's a couple of the bearings there. They go down in the bottom there. There's a bearing race, and yeah, you got to take that out and replace it. And it's just not a happy DIY job to do these things. So I'm going to send mine to that fellow. I'm not necessarily recommending him or endorsing him or anything like that. I have not used him yet, but I did speak with him on the phone for quite a bit, discussing my options, and he's a smart fellow. I'll just come away and say that. It's clear he knows what he's doing. So I'm going to link that below. So what other options do you have besides just replacing one of these? Now, if you have a Mustang, you can buy a brand new box and your life is easy. If you have a car like my Falcon, go fish. They make nothing. So you're either rebuilding one of these or you're going to replace it with something else. So there's problems with that. Looking into it, trying to change it to another type of steering box, and I'm basically talking about power stuff here instead of manual, just for the ease of simplicity. You can add power steering to a non-power steering car by using a power steering box. Again, physically the same as the non-power steering box. Only difference is the ratio of the internal parts. You will need to access and obtain all of the necessary power steering stuff, which on these cars, because it doesn't have the power steering running through the box, it doesn't assist it that way. Ford uses a RAM system on the steering linkage on the car instead of running the fluid through the box and having the box assisted. So basically you turn the wheel, and as you turn the wheel, the hydraulic ram on the steering linkage helps push the steering the way you want it to go. You need the hoses, you need the power steering pump, you need the ram, you need the valve, that makes this all work. It's kind of expensive to gather the parts if you don't have them, and they are notoriously leak prone. Now, if everything's brand new, I say that, and in talking to some people, yeah, they're leak prone, but if you have all new stuff on, it probably won't. But they are apparently a problematic thing as far as fluid leaks. You can swap to a Borgeson steering box. They do make a conversion that involves doing some slight modifications to the steering shaft coming out of the box where the Pitman arm is. If I remember right, no, it's up here at the top. I'm sorry. It's up here at the top. I think you have to shorten it a bit or do something like that. There are instructions on their website what you have to do. It's actually not bad if you have a two-piece steering shaft, which 66 and 65 do not. So you need to source a newer model coupled steering box shaft combination, and possibly a column. I guess you'd need that too, because it probably isn't compatible. And none of that will work with a column shift, sticker automatic, because you have to shorten that steering shaft in a way that the linkage isn't going to be happy. It's pretty much impossible from everyone I've talked to. The other option, as I saw it, was doing a rack and pinion conversion, and there are a number of different ones out there for the different models of Fords of this vintage. However, they are expensive. Some of them are really poor with the turning radius. And the one I looked at lists 66 Ranchero and Fairlane, which should be the same as the 66 Falcon, but they're insistent on their website that they fit only the applications that they list. I don't know why they would be different on a Falcon, because the 66 Ranchero is the exact same front end as that, from the windshield forward, dash, everything is the same. And my email inquiry to them to try to discuss that and determine if it was possible has gone unanswered. So they don't really care. But that is also a possibility. But the expense of that is going to be into the $1,500 to $2,000 range to convert to rack and pinion, depending on which way you go. The Borgeson, I think, was somewhere between $750 and $1,000. And adding power steering to this arrangement here is probably about the same if you want to add power steering. But this is what we have to deal with. No reproductions available. These internal parts are all different between the models. So depending on what you are driving, you may have a simple process, Ford Mustang, just order a new one. Or you may have to send it out for a rebuild like I'm going to do. I hope this was somewhat educational. I don't pretend that I'm an expert. I just have done a lot of reading and research and learning on these steering boxes because I'm not happy with the one that's in my car. And in trying to figure out what to do, this is where I am. I have multiple steering boxes all in pieces, except for the one in my car. And I'm just going to send the lot down to this fellow in Texas and let him put something together for me. Hope that was helpful. Please leave some comments below if you were helped or not by this. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks for watching.